What's up, sports fans? Sports talk. All right, check it out, man. Y'all know what time it is. The fight is this weekend, guys. Vasyl Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez, and here's my prediction breakdown. And we'll talk about these guys a little bit, but the prediction breakdown predominantly. Now, first, I want to start with Vasyl Lomachenko. Anyone out there who's picking Vasyl Lomachenko to win this fight? Very good, valid pick. I want to say that to start it off. This is the thing. It's the reason this guy's the odds are 4-1 for him to win. The reason they call him the Matrix. There's a reason his amateur record is as impeccable as it is, and two-time gold medalist, multiple national titles. There's a reason for all of that. Because Lomachenko is arguably the best right now. And he's taken that amateur pedigree and success, and he's brought that over to professional where he came in, being either former champion or champion back to back to back. And he took an early loss against Orlando Salido. A lot of people that want to, I guess, discredit what Lomachenko has done speak about that loss, but that loss to me versus Salido for Lomachenko was a learning experience at the pro level. And what he's done after that loss has been absolutely phenomenal. Up to this point, everything he's done after taking that loss, which was to me a building block and not so much as a asterisk or a negative that a lot of people try to put on Vasyl Lomachenko. I think that was a positive for his career and what he's done since. And it helped him, achieve and accomplish the way he has in boxing. So I want to say that about Lomachenko and much respect to anybody who picked Lomachenko to win this fight. Now, Teofimo Lopez. I heard a couple of idiots out there. Coincidentally, they always talk about people using BoxRec, right? These idiots, a few of them too, talk about Teofimo amateur background, 24-8. These idiots, always charging people for using BoxRec. That's where that comes from, BoxRec. Teofimo was actually 150 amateur fights and 20 losses, which is very good amateur record, very good. Not as prolific and proficient as one Vasyl Lomachenko, but who's this? But for the kid, that's pretty damn good. Now to move on to the fight breakdown. Vasyl Lomachenko has the edge in damn near every way in this fight. There are attributes that Teofimo has: youth, size, probably power, explosiveness. We'll talk about those things, how they can help him win. But you look at the sweet science, the footwork, the IQ, the fence, or at least the utilization of the fence, the jab, on jab, foot position. He's superior. He's superior in these things, and part of the reason why it's a damn good pick to pick him. Money or think that Lomachenko's going to win. I can't blame people that think that Lomachenko's going to win because, to be honest, guys like myself We're the oddballs. We're the weirdos. We're the unique guys in this, or ladies in this situation. Well, we're predicting that Teofimo Lopez will do what many think is the impossible and beat Vasyl Lomachenko. Now, one thing about Vasyl Lomachenko is, has a knack at his mind's like a computer. He's seen it all. He's done it all. He's been around a lot of guys, and he utilizes foot feints, head feints very well, very well. And when he does, he gets this information and he's locking it in. Sometimes you may hear that Lomachenko starts to fight off slow, and I don't necessarily think that. I think he's starting to fight off education. He's gauging what these opponents are doing now. While he's throwing these feints and head feints, and he's also throwing this probing, somewhat pawing jab out there. And while he's throwing that probing, pawing jab out there, he's maintaining the correct foot position, to avoid getting hit too much while he's trying to process this. And I want to talk about 135, not too much. You hear a lot of guys, and again, as I call them, idiots, talk about the most similarity you will see in Teofimo Lopez, and then they'll go to a Rigondeaux. Guillermo Rigondeaux, who came up from 122 to fight Lomachenko, which made him the smaller guy. Had to reach, had to figure his way out to get it. And he did have power, but this is a total different situation, total different fighter. Teofimo's the bigger guy. Loma's the smaller. We'll talk about how Teo get in later, but it's really stupid comparison. But I want to stick to 135 and focus more on the guys that are at this weight class, which would be Pedraza, Krolla, Linares, and Campbell, and how Lomachenko dominated these guys, and he dominated each and every one of them quite successfully. So Lomachenko started off, which some would call slow, dominating these guys by first making sure he had the advantageous and correct foot position, but also utilizing that probing and paw and jab and a lot of feints. And the thing with Pedraza and say Linares and Luke Campbell, I don't want to really talk too much about Krolla because he absolutely watched Krolla, and Krolla wasn't at all ready for Lomachenko or any of these guys. Devin Haney, Ryan Campbell beat the hell out of Krolla, so I don't want to talk about Krolla, but we got to give the respect to Pedraza, Linares, and Luke Campbell. When we look at Lomachenko in those fights, these guys, I do believe that all of these guys shared something that young Teofimo Lopez shared going into his Loma fight. And that's height, you know, over Lomachenko. Lomachenko 65 and a half inch reach. 5'7" is what they have him. And I think he's a bit shorter than that, but 5'7". So these guys had either reach or height on them or both on Lomachenko. So something that young Teofimo would share. Luke Campbell, however, was a southpaw, so that's a different scenario. We'll talk to him about that fight. When we look at Jose Pedraza and Jorge Linares, and then, like I said, the length and the height, and you look at the way Lomachenko dissected these guys and won the fights because he didn't stop. Um, he didn't stop Jose Pedraza, but he damn sure worked him over, dropped him in the fight. But Lomachenko utilized that paw and probe and jab, maintained foot position on these guys, and which is very important. Lomachenko's the best at the footwork, but these guys were active. These guys were active. They were throwing at him, um, reacting to a lot of his foot and head feints, and they We're giving Lomachenko in the beginning of those fights the information he needed and the information he desired. He could process it and eventually break them down the way he did. And so their activity, although some would look at their activity as success versus Lomachenko, I looked at that as a lot of their activity, because it was missing. They weren't being effective with Lomachenko. It was giving him the information he needed to further break them down in the later rounds. And some people look at it as success and what it's going to take to trouble Lomachenko. Well, if he breaks him down similarly, he gets this information he needs. And the knockdown with Linares, you hear a lot of Lomachenko haters talk about the knockdown with Linares. Let's be honest, it was a flash knockdown. It's not like Linares had him hurt, trouble. It was a flash knockdown. Lomachenko got back up and he went to work. Um, but when you look at the way Lomachenko fought these guys, controlling the ring, because Lomachenko was in control of these fights. He may have started off slow, but I think that that's more him processing the information, utilizing his uh, head and foot feints, to gauge what these guys are going to do, how they plan to attack. And then Lomachenko started working the body. He started moving in on them, pivoting out, popping them with some shots, causing them to miss because he had gauged all the information he needed. It was quite a beautiful performance by Lomachenko, although a lot of people say, well, he's been getting hit more. I say it myself, and he has been getting hit more because he has to do more to get in on these longer guys. See, Rigondeaux was inferior to Loma with these attributes. But I don't really compare Guillermo Rigondeaux. When we talk about Teofimo, it's just idiotic. The guy was smaller. He was coming up from 122. Although he was a hard puncher down there, Lomachenko didn't feel anything from Rigondeaux like he's going to feel from Teofimo Lopez. Then there's some other attributes that come into play, and I'll get on that when I go to Teofimo Lopez. But back to Lomachenko, he's masterful at, getting inside, confusing guys, you know, taking away their strengths. But there are times when he goes in that he leaves himself open. And what I have seen, if I've seen any type or form of regression of Lomachenko at 135, is that uh, he may have slowed down just a tad bit on the footwork. And yes, he does take more punishment, but as I explained, I think that's because boxing guys, you got to take some time to give some more Lomachenko processing that information. He always makes these guys pay later. He starts to work their body well, get them to drop those arms, change levels on them, in and out, side to side, throwing from these angles. And this is what he's going to, I believe, do to Teofimo to some extent. Um, Again, I'm getting ready to get to Teofimo. But when I look at Lomachenko, what can he do to beat Teofimo Lopez? What Lomachenko does, because he has more than one way to come at Teofimo. If anybody's limited on their attack, it would be my guy Teofimo Lopez, not Lomachenko. Um, so again, shout out to everyone that believed Lomachenko will win this fight. Like I said, with Pedraza and Linares, these guys were moving their hands, they were active, but they were giving Lomachenko what he needed to defeat them because he's the superior boxer. Kept the right foot position. Frank General, he knows where to go and he knows where to hit you when he gets there. And he's technical, so he's going to land those punches. He's going to take the gas out of you, right? This is what Lomachenko does. And he gets tagged up in the process. But again, longer guys, these guys are skilled. So you got to take something to get something. Moving on to Teofimo Lopez and why I pick him to win. Teofimo Lopez knocks Lomachenko out. That's my pick. Why I picked Teofimo to win. Uh, I'm going to go specifically to two fights fights that I hear a lot of people talk about, but I think I have a different perspective on these fights, which is Magdaleno and Aoshi Nakatani. Um, and so first the Magdaleno fight, and I would agree with a lot of people that Magdaleno is not the greatest level of competition, but it's what Teofimo did to Magdaleno in the whole fight. Don't watch a few clips. Watch the whole fight, and you'll see that Teofimo Lopez worked Magdaleno's body. Then he utilized feints after working Magdaleno's body to start getting some information, seeing how Magdaleno is going to react. And one thing that makes Teofimo Lopez so special in what he does is his recognition. He's not as active as a lot of people think he does, but he throws significant punches, one, one, two, and get back out to process information, to get the reaction, to see what these guys are going to do to counter what he's doing or when they're going to attack. And what makes Teofimo so special is that he recognizes that early. Some would say Lomachenko, first 4 rounds. See, in 3 or 4 rounds, Teofimo has what he needs to know. Well, here's the thing. When you look at Linares, Luke Campbell, and Pedraza, these guys were active, and they were giving Lomachenko more of what he needed. And Teofimo's inactivity may not be the curse that people think it is. So when Teofimo comes in, he changes levels, which people are not, I see a lot of the breakdowns, they're not giving him credit for this. If you go back and you watch the Nakatani fight, Teofimo Lopez changed levels quite a bit in that fight. Not only did he change levels with feints coming in, he actually fooled Nakatani plenty times in that fight. He threw combinations in that fight. He utilized the jab in that fight. He processed information. Now, Teofimo Lopez processed information nowhere near as good as this guy, Lomachenko, but he does it at an exceptional rate. And I don't think that people understand that Teofimo Lopez sets up some of these shots from the early work that he does. These jabs to the stomach with Teofimo's in and out, he's taking that win from you, number one, giving you something to think about, number two, because there's stiff jabs to the body. He's giving you something to think about, number two. He's also processing information. How are you going to attack off of one of those jabs? What are you going to do from one of those jabs? Now, here's something else that makes Teofimo so dangerous to Lomachenko, in my opinion, and why I think he's going to knock him out. Teofimo Lopez is able to close the distance like that. And this is what the explosiveness is about, at least in my opinion. Not only, it's not good to kind of hop in. Anybody that knows anything about boxing, when you skip in or hop in, that's actually not a good thing to do because a lot of times you lose balance. You're not able to plant your feet, turn those hips on those shots, or plant that back foot if you get ready to throw an uppercut or whatever. Sometimes you're not even able to step into that right because you're already on in. So a lot of trainers will tell you it's not a good thing to skip in, but very rarely you see these fighters that are able to skip in, but as they skip in, they're able to plant and come with power, meaning they can close the distance like that. It takes athleticism to do it. And this is what Emo got, what he has. And this is what's going to give Lomachenko a problem. Because along with Lomachenko feints, he has a tendency sometimes to lean to the left, which just opens him up for a multitude of shots that this explosive young kid can capitalize off of. And I do believe he's going to capitalize off that. He's going to change levels on Lomachenko. He's going to utilize his jab on Lomachenko a lot of. Also, quite elusive, a lot more elusive than people give him credit for. When you look at the Nakatani fight that everyone thought was feel in such a uh, negative for Teofimo Lopez. He made that guy miss a lot. He made him miss a lot with upper body movement, elusiveness, sliding back, turning away from punches. He made Nakatani miss a lot. Also, Nakatani's all long. You will watch and see his explosiveness, how he was able to close the distance on Nakatani. On Nakatani now, taller, longer fighter who was utilizing his jab, doing a good job at keeping the distance. He popped Teofimo with some good shots all throughout that fight. But plenty of times Teofimo has success, banging into the body, exploding in, catching Nakatani with good shots. And it's that explosion that's going to give Lomachenko an issue. Body work, the changing of the levels, Teofimo's his own things, his recognition that I believe is going to allow him to land on Lomachenko. Lomachenko's tendency to lean down to the left is going to cause him a problem. One thing also that I think that Teofimo Lopez will be able to capitalize is Lomachenko comes straight in sometimes, which is how he got caught by Linares. Shout out to BDA, he pointed that out. I actually seen that before, but I was waiting until this video. I like to hear a lot of what people say, and you know what I mean, before I put out my assessment, you know. But shout out to BDA. He pointed that out as well. Loma comes straight in, and that could be a problem because there's also a multitude of shots. Not just one shot like what Linares threw to hit him. There's a multitude of shots you can throw to hit a fighter coming straight in on the line like that. So Teofimo Lopez has the ability. He's shown it in plenty of fights. People just want negative in this kid, where he's lightning quick on a counter. He's lightning quick on a pull counter, and he's lightning quick on a check hook, either hand. Right? He catches guys coming in. Like Loma comes in straight sometimes with a good swift, stiff uppercut. And so I believe this kid does have the tools to hurt Lomachenko. Not one punch knockout, but hurt Lomachenko. Make him know he's there. Nullify some of the things. You can't nullify everything Lomachenko does, but if you get his attention, give him something to think about. This is where I think Teofimo will find success. Now, I've said this plenty of times before. I believe that the longer this fight goes, and I mean later rounds, 9, 10, 11, and 12, favors Lomachenko because we can't play a chess match here. Teofimo's going to have to figure out what he needs to do early. He's going to have to make Lomachenko feel something early, but I don't agree with a lot of people that feel like he's only way he's going to have success is as if he comes in there like Luke Campbell or Linares, just when Luke Campbell was throwing a lot, but he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't doing anything but giving Lomachenko information. I'm a poker player, avid poker player. Sometimes when you win a hand, you just fold it. You don't want to let the opponents know what you were doing. And sometimes when you're throwing a lot of useless punches trying to confuse Loma, there's no confusing Loma. This guy's brain is like a freaking computer in that ring. But you're throwing useless punches and you're giving away some of your techniques, some of your offense. I think I don't agree with Teofimo having to fight anywhere like these guys. I think Teofimo needs to fight the way he fights. I think he needs to do what he can to process his information, pay attention to Loma and what type of fame he's going to utilize, how he plans on coming in, and force Loma to initiate some action sometime. I don't think that he should come in and try to force himself on Loma or throw a lot of useless jabs or punches to attempt to confuse Lomachenko. I think Teofimo should stick more to what he does, and he'll find the shots to hurt Lomachenko and then hurt him bad and put him away. And so, guys, my thing is this. Teofimo Lopez is going to knock Lomachenko the fuck out 7th round. my prediction. That's my breakdown. Look, I want to say this fantasy boxing prediction league, right? If you have Facebook, go to Fantasy Boxing Prediction League on Facebook. If you don't have Facebook, you have an email. Email my man Champ EZ, Champ E, the letter Z, and then two E's, 22 at yahoo.com. Champ EZ 22 at yahoo.com. Send them an email. Tell them you want to join them. We have 2 current boxers in there, current trainers, former boxers in there. Very sharp guys like IBT, Immortal Boxing Truth, Unrivaled, Boxing Talking News in there, G-Man Boxing in there, YC Rama, very sharp boxing brain in there. We have a lot of guys. Oh, and your man D Jefferson. And if you think he could beat D Jefferson, you know, I was on a live last night and there was this certain guy on there keep saying, what you gotta understand, D Jefferson, what you gotta see, this is how you predict fights. Well, guy, you know who you are, Mr. P. You know who you are. Come over to the Fantasy Boxing Prediction League and show us all that you know what you're talking about and you know how to predict fights. Mr. BDA, Bucho, Stuart Little, all you guys, come join the Fantasy Boxing Prediction League. See if you guys can beat D. That's the key. And we'll see who knows what and who can predict fights. And y'all know I always in this thing. For the love of sports, let's talk about it. Peace.